Lunchboxes, video games, sugary cereals, bubble bath, and what? Who comes up with this stuff? So-called advertising gurus have used blockbuster movies to boost the sales of every cheap paper or plastic product imaginable. But when it comes to really bad movies, the selection of merchandise available is understandably scarce. So I decided to show schlocky cinema a little love by creating non-sports cards based on some of the worst movies ever made. The thing is, we've only scratched the surface on the amount of bad movies out there. So today I'm taking 3 more movies that are considered so bad they're good and giving them the retro trading card treatment. Join me, Scott Serkland, in the Art Lab. Let's suit up. Here in the Art Lab, we've created vintage-style trading cards for such memorable classics as Mac and Me, Manos the Hands of Fate, and Troll 2. But we're not done. I've got 3 more critically panned flicks to draw inspiration from, a couple of which have reached the coveted #1 spot on many of the worst movies of all time list and have been the subject of big Hollywood biopics. But are they really that bad? I'll let you be the judge. First up is the infamous disaster piece, Plan 9 from Outer Space, considered by many critics to be the worst film in the history of cinema.
Really? Worst film you ever saw? Well, my next one will be better. Hello?
Director Tim Burton famously chronicled the movie's production and the life of its eccentric director in the film Ed Wood.
Do you know anything about film production?
Well, I like to think so.
For the design of these cards, I'm taking inspiration from these Star Trek the Motion Picture trading cards. They're bright, bold, and colorful, and should give a good contrast to the movie, which is filmed in black and white. Ed Wood was notorious for his shoestring budgets and cheesy special effects, which is evident in these scenes of flying saucers attacking Earth, where the strings are notably visible. I want to pay homage to this by using a UFO hanging on a string as the graphic for where our card numbers will go. It's interesting how the posters for most B movies were superior to the films themselves. So, I'll borrow some of the graphic design elements from the movie poster when designing the back of our cards. This image of Tor Johnson, the movie's police inspector turned murderous ghoul, has become iconic. So, it seems fitting that we use this as the focal point for our card back design.
Stop him, Tanner! He's close enough! Turn off your electrode gun! Stop him, you fool!
I'll adjust the levels of this still in Photoshop, then convert it to vector art in Illustrator, giving the image a line art look. I'm only going to use the top half of his head as if he's peering over the movie's logo. There are many memorable quotes from this movie, which we will be including as the copy on the back of our card.
Inspector Clay's dead. Murdered. And somebody's responsible.
Your stupid minds! Stupid! Stupid!
I've added a few more flying saucers for good measure. Now to select some movie stills to drop into our border. I think the bold primary color border does a great job of framing these black and white photos. Plan 9 is probably the oldest of the bad movies we'll be featuring. Truly a classic that has stood the test of time.
This is the one.
I command you!
This is the one I'll be remembered for.
But now let's fast forward to the 1980s, a decade filled with neon lights and more low-budget ninja movies than you can shake a stick at. However, of all the movie ninjas from the 80s, I ask you, how many of them rode motorcycles? 1987's Miami Connection is a tour de force helmed by auteur, producer, writer, and star YK Kim. Not only does it feature ninja biker gangs, but also a rock band called Dragon Sound, whose members just happen to be black belts in Taekwondo. This movie has intense action, over-the-top violence, hardcore rock and roll, plus cool dudes and hot women. But it's much more than your standard macho action flick. The heart of this movie is all about friendship. Even Dragon Sound's biggest hit is an ode to the importance of friendship. I mean, who doesn't like Friends?
Well, Jeff, I heard a lot of good things about you.
Where'd you find this son of a bitch?
He's a friend of mine from school.
A friend?
How can you act like that?
Shut up!
Okay, maybe not everyone is okay with having friends, but then you have these really tender moments where the band gathers around to support keyboardist Jim, who is searching for his long-lost father.
I didn't know you had a father. I thought we are all orphans.
My mother was Korean, and my father was Black American. She gave me this picture when she was real sick. I was only 9 years old. But then when he finished military duty, he left. And we never saw him again. She told me to find him. But I didn't like him because he left us. But I knew one day when I grew up I'd find him. Whether he was dead or alive.
Okay, enough setup. Let's start designing our cards. As I mentioned before, B movies usually have an awesome poster, and Miami Connection is no exception. I'm going to borrow liberally from the design of this movie poster. I'll start by recreating the logo in Adobe Illustrator. I love the light blue and magenta color scheme. This whole look just screams 1980s Miami Vice. And since this movie takes place in Miami, I mean, it's actually Orlando, but as I said, Miami Vice was super popular in the 80s, so, well, let's just pretend it's Miami. I mean, why split hairs? Regardless, we need to incorporate palm trees into the design. This will be the iconography we use to encompass our card number. Now all we need is a totally awesome 80s font for our captions. For the back of the card, I'm using some 80s synth-inspired graphics that were included in a resource pack that I purchased from Design Cuts. Couple that with an image of Dragon Sound's lead guitarist Tom shredding on the guitar, plus some motorcycle riding ninjas and a few more palm trees. I'll add some lyrics from the hit song Friends and create the illusion that this design has been screen printed over chipboard just like the vintage trading cards were. Now let's flip back over to the front of our card and add the still of Dragon Sound bringing down the house in all of their rock and roll glory. Long live rock and roll and friendship.
Dragon Sound!
So, did we save the best or worst for last? You tell me. Our final bad movie has been referred to as the Citizen Kane of bad movies. Tommy Wiseau's epic romantic drama, The Room. Like our other two entries, this film is a passion project brought to life by a visionary creator. And like Plan 9 from Outer Space, this film was the subject of a major Hollywood biopic. 2017's The Disaster Artist features James Franco as Tommy Wiseau and recounts the tumultuous production of The Room. As bizarre as this tangled mess of a love triangle is, it's hard not to get caught like a deer in the headlights when watching Wiseau's off-kilter performance. There are so many meme-worthy scenes featuring Wiseau that should translate perfectly onto a trading card.
Can I help you?
Yeah, can I have a dozen red roses, please?
Oh, hi, Johnny. I didn't know it was you. Here you go.
That's me. How much is it?
It'll be $18.
Here you go. Keep the change. Hi, doggy.
You're my favorite customer.
Thanks a lot. Bye.
Bye-bye.
I used to know a girl. She had a dozen guys. One of them found out about it, beat her up so bad she ended up in a hospital on Guerrero Street.
What a story, Mark.
You are lying. I never hit you. You are tearing me apart, Lisa!
But honestly, I struggle with where to start. There's really no inspiration in the form of a cool poster. The graphic design incorporated in the film is almost non-existent. Other than the use of the review font, there's really nothing consistent that stands out. We do have iconic moments like this scene.
I did not hit her. It's not true. It's bullshit. I did not hit her. I did not. Oh, hi, Mark.
But to give the scene justice, there's just too much dialogue to fit into the limited room for a caption on a trading card. And visually, what do I focus on? The water bottle? Okay, wait, I have an idea. I'm going to start my design with a standard red border and include the logo using the review font. Like on my other two designs, I want a graphic to fit our card number onto. But what if the graphic changes from card to card, like an old school flip book, as Tommy Wiseau's silhouette throws the water bottle on the ground? Granted, I'm only going to be making a small sample of cards, not enough for a flip book, but if this was a full set of cards, this could be a cool gimmick. I'll trace this photo of Wiseau to capture his recognizable silhouette. Since this movie is a by-the-numbers drama and there really isn't a whole lot of interesting visuals, this should help make the cards more appealing. Now, because there's too much dialogue to work into a caption, I'm going to do what a lot of comedy trading cards like Welcome Back Kotter and Mork and Mindy did, and place the dialogue directly over the photo inside a word balloon. When I design word balloons, I try to avoid using perfect ellipses, so I'll squash and stretch them a bit to make them look a little more freeform. Next, I'll take the original Wiseau silhouette and change the position of the arm to create various frames of him throwing down the water bottle. Since we're using word balloons, I'm able to say what I need to say on the front of the card. So instead of adding quotes or fun facts to the back, let's create a puzzle for this set. Even though I said there really wasn't anything interesting about the movie poster, I think it'll still make a good puzzle. If you're subscribed to my mailing list, you'll receive templates like the one for this puzzle via the link in my current newsletter, with future freebies being released every month. And if you sign up at my website, you'll receive this free Comic Maker Starter Kit, packed with fonts, templates, word balloons, and additional assets to use in your creative projects. Also, select members of my Patreon community will receive additional templates or the layered Photoshop files for these trading cards. I have to be honest, at first I thought this set would be my least favorite, but after finding some interesting solutions to the design challenges, I think this might be one of my favorites. What do you think? Leave a comment and let me know if there are any other bad movies that you'd like to see trading cards of.
It's not over. Everybody betrayed me. I'm fed up with this world.
Tommy's right, it's not over, and he may be fed up, but I'm still enjoying this process. So next up, we're gonna print and cut our finished cards. I printed the front of the cards on white photo paper and the backs on chipboard. Then I used spray adhesive to bond the two pages together. Of course, if you have a printer that can handle heavy cardstock, there is another option. I'll leave a link to some chipboard that's white on one side, along with all the other material that I'm using in the description of this video. With the front and back glued together, it's time to cut out the cards using an X-Acto knife and a metal ruler. I don't know about you, but I love imagining what movies that never got trading cards might have looked like. What do you think? Here, check it out. With 6 bad movie trading card sets complete, I want to turn my attention to creating wax packs for each of them, and I promise I'll get to that in a future video. But if you haven't seen my first bad movie trading card video, you can check that out right up here. In the meantime, slam those like and subscribe buttons like Tommy Wiseau would a water bottle on a San Francisco rooftop.
There is some misunderstanding.
You don't understand. I'm her brother. When I tell you to leave her alone, leave her alone.
Whatever you say.
Just remember what I said if you don't want to get hurt.
You don't scare me at all.
Jane, I want to talk to you later.
Goodbye.
Friends through eternity.